Hello and welcome to this short video where I'd just like to spend a few moments sharing with you a few things that I spoke about at our recent online annual meeting. The truth is, we're still living with a good deal of uncertainty, aren't we, as we slowly move out of restrictions and eventually, we hope, into a new post-COVID world. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge how hard the last 15 months or so really have been, and how it's going to take some time for us to recover from that individually and collectively. I've been doing some training recently about trauma, about how significant events affect us as individuals and as communities. And here are just a few of the things that I've learned. The first is that we have been through and are still going through a collective trauma. Most of us have never experienced anything like this before, and we can't underestimate what the constant ups and downs and all the associated anxieties have done to us all, not only psychologically but physiologically as well. Many of us have been living on a high state of alert for a long time, and that does take its toll on us. As we recover, there are stages to work through to get to a healthy place. And we'll need to recognise that we'll be living with some uncertainty for a while to come yet. Many people are going to be exhausted, especially those with leadership responsibilities. And I have to tell you, I know personally, I'm on the borderline of exhaustion right now. Maybe you are too. And because of all this, we really do need to make every effort to be patient with each other. One of the courses that I've been on talked about the 3 C's of calm: communication and care. Seeking God's help to keep calm when that might not be how we're feeling inside. Doing all we can to communicate clearly. That's why I'm making this video. And it's vital that we care for one another. We just don't know the pressures that other people are under. So let's be kind to one another. It's inevitable that things will look different in the future. Something as significant as the pandemic is going to mean the world just won't be the same as it was before. So we really do need to work together towards that future, and each and every one of us has some part to play. And here's where another 3 C's come into play: compassion, creativity, and courage. Compassion for each other and for ourselves too. Creativity as we look to be the church the post-pandemic world really needs. And courage. Courage to try new things and to learn from them if they don't work, and then to try again. This recovery really will take some time, so we need to seek God for this. And we're going to need some patience. We need to get the pace of change right too, though. Not too fast, not too slow. So what does all this actually mean for us in our context? Well, let me just share a few slides with you that I shared at the meeting. I do hope that this will not only inform you, but encourage you to take your place in our journey towards a better future. So we are thinking about our response to the pandemic in terms of the 3 R's, but not reading, writing, arithmetic, but recovery, reimagination, and reach. First of all, recovery, a gradual reconnecting physically, listening to each other, listening to the world and to our local community. The next stage will be reimagination. What will the new pattern of the life of our church look like? What will continue? What will we start for the first time? What will we end? And what will our digital presence look like going forward? And then this will lead on to reach, which is thinking about how we reach out to the community around us. What will the real needs be? Let's not assume we know. How is God calling us to serve our community? How can we better connect with other people? So the 3 R's: recovery, reimagination, and reach. For a number of years now, we have understood that what God is calling us to do can be summarized in a simple statement, and that is praise and nurture and serve. What will these 3 things look like for us? First of all, in the short term, what will praise look like? Well, initially in these next few months, we are under a period of recovery, still under severe restrictions. So what we're going to be doing is on the first Sunday running Messy Church, and on other Sundays a 9:15 communion service, adding to that a live stream of that service and a video of the sermon which can be watched separately. Friday nights we have Hineni, which is a contemplative service, live and streamed at 7 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening, Thrive, another service where we can engage with one another and discuss. That is live in the church building and also on Zoom. So that's in the short term. Looking ahead beyond that, this is where we get into reimagination. What will our future pattern of services look like? A changing world will need us to change. Is God now calling us to introduce a second contemporary morning service? In terms of our junior church groups, what will they look like going forward? How can we build on the Messy Church that we've been running both live and in people's homes through the lockdowns? Can we develop something fresh and new online too that will engage with people? And how can we encourage prayer as being even more central in the life of our church? Maybe an overarching prayer group is what we need to oversee that. So that's our first thoughts on praise. And what about nurture then? How we encourage and nurture one another as followers of Jesus, as human beings. Well, in this initial period of recovery over the next few months, we will be offering more bubble groups, just small informal groups which can really be a support to one another. And as we're able to meet together physically more, those things may be especially important. Our Ignite youth group for our young people will hopefully very soon be meeting physically together. And the community of soul friends, we are looking to expand how that works and offer those resources to many more people. And developing prayer generally more widely in the life of our church. We're going to be putting resources out there which hopefully will really make a difference to people if you choose to take up those resources. And then we're going to be reimagining lots of things. How can we encourage people to take more responsibility for their own growth? What will be the vehicles that we use to encourage people and support people in their life of faith? How can we support people in their daily life too? Daily life can be hard and challenging. How can following Jesus make a difference in our daily lives? I think relationship is key there, and soul friends relationships, one-on-ones, I think can be a real support to one another. And finally, as we look ahead beyond the next few months, how can we walk alongside other people in the wider community, and to point them towards Jesus? And finally, serve. How can we serve our local community and the real needs of the local community as well as those of the wider world? Well, first of all, our links in Kenya and indeed Uganda, the 3 projects which we support in those places, are obviously under immense pressure at the moment with COVID and all the things that lead from that. How can we help those people further away? Walk and Talk, Litterpicks, Book Club, CAP projects, all of these things are things which we have been trying to support the local community with through the lockdowns, and will continue to do so as we emerge from those lockdowns. We have a new partnership with Home Earth Tech to run the CAP projects, which I think is tremendously exciting. But I think above all, what we need to be doing is really listening to the world, listening to the local community, rather than thinking we automatically know what people need. Let's listen to others. And that's really part of our reimagination. The earthquake analogy I find helpful. When there's been an earthquake, how do the response teams respond? Well, they don't just go lifting every piece of rubble. They go and listen. They listen for the cries of help, and then they lift the rubble where they can hear cries for help. And we need to be doing exactly the same in our world and in our local community. So, as we continue to reimagine the life of our church, what is it that God wants us to do? We've talked about things like men's sheds before, men's groups, toddler walks in the local community. How can we support people's mental health? Will the Renew Wellbeing movement be something that we engage with? What about parenting courses and helping people in practical ways? Our Monkey Business toddler group, our lunches that we've offered to the communities in the past. What will these look like in the future? What else is God saying to us about how he wants us to serve in real and practical ways the community around us, to be good news, to be bringers of hope in real and practical ways? And just finally, some possible key dates that I shared at the meeting. On the 21st of June, the government are hoping to relax many more restrictions, which would allow us to do many more things, have a lot more people in the church building, be able to sing and gather together more. We don't know whether that will happen. That still remains to be seen. There's still uncertainty, and we need to wait to hear from the government about that. But just possibly, and hopefully, on the 27th of June and on the 4th of July, we can have two very different expressions of worship on those dates. And please do keep those free in your diaries, where we hope those could be real and great celebrations together. We'll keep you in touch with all of that as we get into June and we find out more. And finally, as we work out together what the future for us will look like, in September we're hoping to hold a vision day or a morning, some time together where we can share ideas and really dream some big dreams together for the future. And also in the autumn, beginning to experiment with some new patterns of worship. So do keep those dates in mind. So look, I hope you're all encouraged by this short presentation. I hope and pray that each and every one of you will choose to play your part, however big or small, in our journey into a new future, as we listen to God, to each other, and to the wider community, as we follow Jesus into being the church family that he calls us to be. May we journey then with calmness and with care for each other, and with all our lines of communication open. Where we move ahead with compassion, with creativity, and with courage too. And may we praise, nurture, and serve, following Jesus as we become even more his body on earth for a world which needs him more than perhaps any of us truly know. Let's join together, play our part in God's project for a transformed world.